Okay, I have never done this before, but I am doing it this time, and I think it has a little bit of a lesson in it for you too. Come on in and let's talk about why I canceled my November challenge, and more importantly, what I'm doing instead. If this is one of your first times catching my video, hey friend, hey, my name is Carolyn. I am a private practice strategist, your private practice bestie, helping therapists just like you start, grow, and scale their private practices in a life first way. So having businesses that you love, that love you back, right? And I just completed, probably a couple weeks ago now, my freedom and fulfillment survey where I asked therapists around the world to give me some feedback about what is working in private practice and what is not. And I heard lots of information about what was going well. And more importantly, I heard a ton of people talking about kind of the same things that were just not working. Most of the people that responded were somewhere between a solopreneur and a small practice, so somewhere between like 2 clinicians and up to 5. And the number one thing that they were concerned about was stability, right? Having stability and having kind of like a streamlining process so that they weren't feeling like so out of sorts. And I think part of this is when you want to be a private practice owner, you don't necessarily care about all the business stuff. You really just want to serve your clients the way that you want to. And it's different parts of your brain that really is working on the business stuff than what's working on the client delivery stuff. And so people just felt pulled. They felt like they were being pulled in multiple directions, and it was really uncomfortable. Some people were having financial success, right? So there's no doubt that they are profitable. They have enough clients to keep the doors open. They're fine. But they weren't seeing a path for better, right? So they wanted better. They were proud of what they built. You know, they had some success, but they really knew like, hey, there's not a clearly identifiable way for me to give myself a raise, right? When you think about it, yes, you can to a certain extent raise your rates. But if you are an insurance-based practice, that doesn't mean that the insurer is going to raise your rates. And you can try and negotiate, but sometimes they won't. So that means that you're stuck making the same amount of money every single year, no matter what, unless you take on more clients. And so you can do that to a point, but what happens if you want to scale back? What happens if you want to take a maternity leave and work part-time while the kids are young? What happens if you have a family member that you need to support or you choose to support? What happens if you just are like multi-passionate and you have other things that you want to explore? Maybe you're really excited about possibly mentoring someone or having an intern, and now you got to absorb the time and the energy for that. So all of those like moving pieces was a lot, and people were very, very overwhelmed by that. We were pretty evenly split in that people want the systems to run their private practice more efficiently, and they also wanted to make more money. So lo and behold, your girl decided I was going to do a peace and profit challenge to show people all of the systems that I think really help you have a thriving practice. The ones that we use in our practice that has been around for almost 15 years, that is generating, consistent 5 and 6 figure months, that has generated millions in revenue, that has corporate partners and consulting partners and product sales, the one that has done over 20,000 sessions. So I was going to basically kind of peel back the curtain and show this, but trying to do it in a really organic, simplified way over the course of 30 days. Now, I already knew that this was going to be a challenge because if you've ever run a challenge, most people struggle to be consistent with long-term challenges. Most people now only will do a 5 to 7 day challenge at best, because people are gonna fall off. So I felt a little bit of resistance to that, but I also felt like, hey, I don't wanna try and cram a bunch of surface level crap into 3 days and then leave people with all this work to do at the end, right? Like that didn't make sense to me. So I started to think about like how to do it. So I thought 30 days would be good. But guys, I started writing the emails and the sales pages and the funnels and all the different things. And the more work I put into it, the more resistance I felt to the process. And sometimes resistance is an emotional thing. It's your nervous system trying to keep you safe and preventing you from getting to the next level. So I really stepped back and gave myself a chance to look and see like, okay, well, what is this resistance really about? And when I got quiet and still, I realized that my real resistance was I didn't want to create something that gave you exactly what you were trying to avoid, which was overwhelm. So I thought, okay, this can't be a challenge that's open to hundreds or thousands of people. This can't be pages and pages of people on Zoom. This can't be me regurgitating information at you. It has to be more of a connection, more of a conversation. It's got to be clarity. It's got to be strategic. It's got to be customized to where you are, what you want, what you need, what your heart is telling you. And I can't do that on a Zoom room with 200 people. So I canceled the challenge. I deleted the drafts. I just said the challenge is over. And thankfully, I had just really started to lightly communicate about the challenge. So there wasn't a ton publicly to tear down, but I did. I canceled the challenge. I've never done that in my 10 years to, started something and then didn't finish it. But I don't want to teach you guys to do things in a way that's not in alignment. I don't want to show you what I don't believe in. I want to stand 10 toes down on the fact that you can have a life first private practice and that it doesn't have to be miserable or hard. You don't have to sacrifice the things that are really important to you. You might have to change some things. You might have to adjust some things, but the things that really matter to you, the things that are at your core are important to you, those things don't have to be sacrificed. And this feeling of overwhelm, trying to do all the things, carry all the things, that part has to go. So what did I create instead? What I created instead is the Peace and Profit mini mastermind. Now, traditional mastermind is somewhere between 6 months and 12 months. So this is not that. It is 3 weeks. And we will have a meeting each week, a live meeting, probably on Monday, maybe on Tuesday. I'm going to let the people that get in kind of have their vote. Either way, you'll get access to the recording and you'll have access to me on Voxer. So you'll get this live conversation with you and up to 30 people. So it's whoever comes in, but there's up to 30 people. It's because that's the capacity that I have. Will be in this room so that you'll know every single face. You'll know every single practice. There will not be this conglomerate of massive amounts of people trying to get their questions answered. No, there'll be enough for me to hold space. And you'll have access to me on Voxer where you can open up your phone and say, hey, look, I am trying this out and I'm not sure. Hey, I have a question about this, and I can respond to you in real time, right? And we're going to go through once a week these things and set them up. And we're going to batch some things and structure some things so that you can actually take some time off this year for the holidays without feeling guilty, without feeling like you're coming back to a ton more work. It'll give you some plans so that as you are looking at your budget for next year, you can say, hey, I want to, figure out a way to budget this in for first quarter and budget this in for second quarter and budget this in for third quarter. It'll give you some ideas about how to protect your practice from whatever might happen with healthcare and health insurance and the economy, right? So the first week is going to be all about making sure that you have the systems in your practice that the most successful practices have. I think there are 7 of them, and we're going to make sure that you've got them in your practice and that they're fully functional. Now, the thing about these 7 systems is that every successful private practice has some version of these systems in operation. Some might combine the systems or some might have them labeled kind of differently, but these are the kind of the categories that these things need to be functional in order for you to have a thriving private practice. And chances are, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you can't stop grinding, if you feel like you're always hustling for the next client, if you feel like you are always forgetting something or have a ball that feels like it's about to drop, if you're always overwhelmed, if you're feeling that tension in your neck that's causing that headache, if you are having your kids constantly complaining that you're on your phone, if you are feeling all of those senses of overwhelm and stress and frustration in your private practice, at least one of these systems needs to be adjusted. Now, what we'll do is we'll walk you through what the systems are, and we'll give you kind of like a self-assessment, right? And as you identify what needs to change, we're going to find what I call your domino problem. The domino problem is not the only problem in your practice. So I'm not going to say we're going to solve all of the problems in 3 weeks, but we're going to find the problem that if we solve it, other things start to fall into place, right? In our practice, what took us from having a handful of clinicians to, a dozen plus at times, is that we had to master the client experience from the phone call to the couch, right? So we had a lot of clients who would call in and they would not ever leave a voicemail. And I thought that is the strangest thing I've ever heard, but they just wouldn't, right? And so we were losing people. There was friction between the initial call and getting scheduled. And then there was friction between, once they had called in, then we would sometimes play phone tag with them to just answer some basic, simple questions. And by that time, now they're frustrated with us. By the time we would get on the phone with them, then we had to start the registration. So there was just all this friction. So the domino problem for us was streamlining that. We put both a person and a process and some technology in place in there that allowed us to simplify that process. It's not 100% because nothing is, but it is so much better. So we're much more frequently able to get clients from, hey, I think I want a conversation with you, when they're appropriate, to getting them on the couch. So we'll figure out what that problem is for your practice, and we'll identify a solution for you. And then that's something that you're going to work on, right? I'm not going to say that you'll be able to get every single thing accomplished in a 3-week period of time, but you will be able to see progress, right? You're sitting here today and you're probably looking back 3 months, 6 months, maybe even longer, and saying, this problem has been weighing on me and I feel like I have tried all the things. We're talking about you being able to see progress in 3 weeks, okay? Then in the second week, once we've got that problem, the solution, churning and cooking on that problem, now we're going to look at optimizing your practice for profit. The traditional one-on-one model is not the most effective for profit. Okay, especially as insurance companies are trying to now reduce rates, limit the number of uses of sessions, increase deductibles for people and co-pays for people, which as other things in the economy change, they'll try and, people will start to cut those things down. All of those things are what's going to make it more and more difficult for the traditional one-on-one model to work. So what we're going to focus on is looking at how we can optimize your practice for the most profit. That might be increasing your cash pay clients, that might be adding in consulting, that might be generating some additional revenue through maybe voice memo coaching or product sales or workshops or events or groups. We'll look at all of those things and find the one that makes the most sense for you to initiate. And we'll create a plan for you to get that launched, right? And so we're not just talking about, oh, I've got this great idea. We're talking about what is the marketing approach that's going to help you get this launched without overwhelm. Whether you're launching to your existing community or the community at large, whether you're partnering with another organization to bring this to the community, whatever that looks like, we will figure that out during that second week. And then the third week is all about protecting what you've built. This is for you if you have been feeling like, I worked my butt off to build this private practice. It's been decent, not exceptionally wealthy, but I've been comfortable. And now I'm terrified that between the insurance companies and the increasing cost of healthcare, that I am not going to be able to keep my doors open. And I need a raise. So we're going to talk about how to protect your practice from whatever might be happening outside. And again, that's not just focusing on the specific amount of money coming in, but it's also looking at where maybe you're losing some money or where maybe you could be saving some money, right? And what are going to make sure, what relationships can make sure that you've got what you need coming in on a consistent basis, okay? So all of that is what we're going to do in 3 weeks in November. You'll be done by Thanksgiving, and you'll be able to get things launched into the world and have a plan for how you're going to start with momentum in 2026 without feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, and burnt out. Okay. So if that is what you're interested in, I want to invite you to sign up for the Peace and Profit Mini Mastermind. Like I said, I'm only holding space for 30 people. And if we have 10 people, we'll go with 10 people. But I am holding space for 30. And 30 will allow me to have a personal relationship with each and every one of you. If you've ever considered working with me before, or you've looked at some of the options of working with me one-on-one, you know that I charge for my time. And so having a one-on-one conversation with me, is valuable because I know what to do and how to do it in a way that makes sense for you. And this is the closest thing that you're going to get to a one-on-one conversation with me at this price point. And you get the other benefit of the community. Because here's the thing, part of what feels so isolating is that you are trying to build this private practice and get over all the hurdles and humps by yourself. You don't have somebody like what I would call your business bestie that you can have conversations with, that you can brainstorm with, that you can bounce things off of. And you're going to have a room of women that you can do that with this time. This will be the time when you can build that community. So maybe you're saying like, I've been thinking about how to do XYZ, but I'm not sure where to start. And then somebody else chimes in, oh, I did that last month. Oh, I did that 6 months ago. And then maybe they say like, hey, oh, I was curious about how to do this. Oh, I did that last year. Check this out. We're talking about building a community while you grow your practice without overwhelm. And we're going to start it in this mini mastermind. So around this video, you will find a link. As long as the link is still active, there is room for you to go ahead and get signed up. After you sign up, you'll get an email from me which says, hey, welcome to the Mini Mastermind. Here is your private Voxer link. You can start using that Voxer link whenever you want to. I will answer it. I'm on Voxer every day, so I will answer it as soon as you start sending me messages, and we can start this conversation right now. So are you ready to grow your private practice without overwhelm? Would you love to take 3 weeks to finally be able to see the progress that you've been hoping for? Join the Mini Mastermind and let's get started today.